All right, ladies and gentlemen, and anybody who's tuned in so far on the internet or watching later, this is Lake Effect Poetry's Sunday Fundrive. This is an event that we're now apparently holding every year, in which anybody is welcome to come perform. Poets, musicians, theater, anything you want. Comedians. You just have to make a donation to get your time on the mic. $1 a minute. $10 donation gets you 10 minutes on stage. I keep trying to look at the camera, which is way over there, but we've already sold a few blocks. We've got an hour-long block coming up here in a little bit. We have a lot of free time available, so anybody watching online, which is probably only 1 or 2 people online right now, but anybody wants time, just please come on out. We are 42% of the way. As of last night, we are 42% of the way raising the funds we need to get the team to nationals, and we've got about 3 or 4 weeks to finish raising the money. So, yes, please, thank you, support the team. All right, let's get some of our performances started. Our first performer today is Russ Vidrick.
Well, thank you. Glad to be part of this, and glad that I'm joining in on a worthy cause. It's not something I often do, but I put together four small pieces. I think might take about 2 minutes a piece with a theme. So if I start to go over 10 minutes, just stop me. I don't think I'll quite take up 10 minutes, but I'm gonna try and keep this all from blowing away. I'm going to start with some current stuff. I've been in a sour mood, so I think that shows in these poems. The music of your unhappiness has not been lost to this world or to me, but what can one say? It is like another stone thrown into a pond, a splash of sound, then ripples. They glide across its entire being. It used to be all apple carts and orange lips. Now the vultures feed on your guts, while a construction of mad violins hammers at the soul. Forget the past and forgive the future, you sad, sorry poet of death. The sun is out like a bull in the ring. Outside, the dove is waiting. Somehow, I felt insulted when the professor had told the class that what I really wanted to be was a writer. Me sitting there working so hard to pass his class and get the degree so that I could get out of there and make some real money. Sometimes I want to write about the hell, but I look at the other sad, beaten faces that surround me, and I know it is best to keep it all hidden. Other times the cage is left open, and like a raging songbird, it flutters madly about the room, colorful, puffed-up, heaving chest, trapped by dozens of curtained windows, eventually returning to the comfort of its food. I don't want to lose these. That poem wasn't over, John. Let's see if I can hold on to these without losing them. Eventually returning to the comfort of its food dish and little water bowl to begin playing all of its sorry-ass little notes to no one. Once or twice a month we gather together to read to each other the things that we have written about the world. Little sparks in the fires of hell. It is just one of the ways to get the feeling that you haven't been cheated. It's happened once again, all those troubling notes from the choir that make your hand shake. This is good. There is so much to be nervous about. Breathe, suck in every riot of wonder. Never has the earth milk been so sweet. Gulp and drink, for this privileged generation, this last collective breath, dreams will soon be deader than the moon. It's true these poems just creep from the walls or drip from the ceiling. Sometimes I will ask for one, beg the muse, the moon, the sad-eyed sparrows bathing in dirty pools along the street. But it doesn't happen. I can't explain it. There simply is no process. I realize there has been no great transfer of knowledge in these words, nothing said of any importance, but there is so little in life that is. Well, that's the negativity out of the way. Here's some more positive poetry. Just for today, my beloved states. I'm worried about losing my stuff. Just for today, my beloved states, forget about those things that trouble you. I have put the sun in the sky, and the road is laughing. There it is again, the invisible wanting to come through you, to be alive once again. And all of the madness and wind are not strong enough to keep you away from the divine. The dusk looks, feels like dawn. The pen rolls off the pad. When you tear me open all of the way. Plant your feet on the ground where only good will grow. And when you cannot speak, dance and dance again. You are such a good dancer. And that is what the world has come to watch you do. Listen, or choose not to listen. Read this or stop. But a man has to stand for something. Let these walls we built between us fall, so that we can be honest with one another. Truth is knocking at the door, just like that songbird outside the window. But fortunately, there are structures present to keep us from falling so low. The curtain is torn, the candle is lit, a prayer and a kiss. The ceremony begins. Just for a short time, stop and wonder what great galaxy your beloved has crossed to place this mountain here for you to ride, this vast ocean for you to sail. The hummingbird does not question nectar from a flower. It drinks and moves to another more beautiful. It may not see it, but on the tip of its tongue there are worlds gathering from the thousands of blossoms it visits with each and every day. If when you are troubled, you can still hear the cricket, the bird, or the gentle music of another's heart, you will soon realize that God has sent His entire orchestra to perform for you. Why not take the time to dance? So that's positivity. And now I want to do something a little more mystical. How am I doing on time? Okay, I'll close with something a little more mystical. This is just an observation of the world around me. I didn't count on the wind. Over a decade into the new century lay sparrows, knives, towers, toothpicks, toothpaste, rubber bands, the smell of a woman after a shower, curtains, fire, pianos, violins, cold and sunshine, a box to which you hold the only key. Outside, the day has ravaged the earth, but each night the moon appears new. Are the mountains troubled by the rain? Does the sky despise the thunder? Those who live in the light are searching for something, Those who live in the dark are searching for something else. All of this mad summoning is futile. These words are falling through the air. Here it comes again, a theater of wind, the unfurling of sock, the gathering of toes. Book of skies, book of sun, crumbs of heaven, angels of wood, flowers of guilt. The rain has made still pools where men in mountains are drowning in fountains of moonlight. All of this time just thinking, what can I do? Trapped in this broken cup, a puzzled illusion. She takes a mask and nails it to her face. Unspeakable magic, a summer bird in winter. I smoke until the fire dies. Then stoned I enter the tavern. What is this that lives in a desert, a temple of cities and seeds? At this church I kneel. I walk to the bar, order a soda water with a lemon. Then I swallow the pill and wait for my work to begin. 3:39 in the morning, a night bird begins to sing. At 4:21, a second bird joins in, then another and another. We will spend our day dreaming of violins, a symphony of violence with no conductor, a village alone and lost in the heavens. And this is my last poem, written here at Edgewater Park. If you don't know, there's a statue of Richard Wagner in the park. Maybe you do know, maybe you don't, but yeah, right at the top. When you first go in and you round the corner to the first parking lot, there's a statue of Wagner there. So I like to sit there and smoke or sit with my wife and watch people. So this was written in the park. I suppose it could be titled Edgewater Park or Today in the Park. At rest among the broken-hearted, I will take your weeping solitude and bury it deep here where the people feast on sandwiches and potato salad. Holy the young and not yet sad, running madly under the shade trees. Holy lovers and holy humanity, singing to no one, while Wagner looks on, gazing hollow-eyed at an opera he will never write.
Thank you, Russ. All right. You ready, John? Ladies and gentlemen, John Burroughs.
Checking the time. Hello, everybody. It's good to be here at Mocha on Clifton in the heart of beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, with good people and poets in attendance. I'm going to read my 2012 book, The Eater of the Absurd, which was published in December by Night Ballet Press. It's not my typical, well, a few of the poems are, but a lot of them aren't my typical performance pieces, and I haven't read them live. But I've always wanted to read through the whole thing from start to finish, just because I think it all works better as a whole than it does as individual pieces. And that takes too long for a normal feature, but today you are going to endure The Eater of the Absurd. It begins with an epigraph, or epigram. I always get the two confused. Know then thyself, presume not God to scan. The proper study of mankind is man. Alexander Pope, who may be my favorite poet. The Final Frontier. Captain's blog, star.2008. Aboard an Enterprise, getting spot Beam me down from this club cross membership. Tee me up, wedge me out of this soul or sand trap. Let me tittle the eye of the universal fairway, boldly go where no man has gone before. And as you can tell from that first poem, there are a lot of puns in here, and I will try to make them a little more obvious, but if you want to read them and see what you missed, or if you did miss anything, you can get a copy of the book or have it or whatever you want. Idee un fix. Now, I should say that that began with Star 2008, Captain's blog. That's because I started getting involved in the poetry community after meeting Stephen Smith through reading our mutual blogs, and he talked me into coming to a reading. And that was in 2008. My first featured reading was for Vertigo and the Poet's Haven that year. So all these poems kind of tell a story of my evolution, personal, professional, and in many other ways. Idee un fix. Breaking the neck of the fix. Necking the fix of the break. Fixing the break of the naked poets bending over for a title at the shot. Vengeance for screaming, and frankly, I uncrank the cold cock and kick the conscious scream of selfless steam, sticking the stoke of the stroke in your choke. Whoever said gerunds must go did not know, and was not close to knowing. Scream high, die low. Unstake the hard aardvark of assonance, hawk star, spiral trance, undance, sing streamloads of sling-laid row chords, hock your head, hang your dead. Feel your blow-black bleating slide forward into retreating as I keep repeating, reap, eating, reed, sheeping, cat-tail seeping into slack-jaw law-bots, mis-slaking bravery for thirsts unfilled, killed cowards for the thrill, thrilled brow-bored stiffs for sport, came untaught overwrought, wrench monks keying me into oblivion with an underkill of overskill a minute. This next poem was inspired by Cleveland. It's like the chapbook in condensed form. It's in 3 parts. The first part begins in Cleveland. The second part rambles all over away from Cleveland. Then the third part comes back to Cleveland. And it's entitled Lit a Tour. The first part is see. The second part is leave. And the third part is land. See, leave, land. 1. See. At the literary cafe, I tap at my HP laptop just in from the back room where Tremont's self-named pretentious artists are drawing Jerry's portrait. Too many people showed up to draw for my pretentious computer and me to fit, so I sit at the bar with a goblet of Samuel Adams drafting this poem, happy for an excuse to watch the proprietor draw me another. If this were not Cleveland, but Bar Harbor, Maine, Hinkle Mountain Cemetery, even Hell, Michigan, I might not tell you that I know what it's like to be dead. And I know who I am when dead more than I do when alive, when my shirt's off and the jailhouse tattoo around my navel shows faded black. I need a vacation from gesticulation, from this bonanza of kicks and scarred tricks and the makeshift matrix that began as a poet tree and seems to have been licked and chipped into a crucifix for your chewing and spewing measure. I crave a break from vanity and my own worst enemy, and this ear-grabbing Bowie, both the now playing fame and the knife. So I sit at the bar in your literary cafe, considering drawn lines that do and don't compute, quietly and methodically, freaking out and feeling both more and less gray, both swifter than fascination and slower than incarceration, both lower than a sucker and higher than a fuck you can easily lead my blood, both more and less you than me, and truer than what you might expect in the face of this illusion and disillusion. I wane and wax well, literate and ill, iterate my compulsion to get with it or to hit it like the road, not as faultless as I seem, rode by forces I can't name and unsure, both at sea and on shore. I try scraping the sky, take pride in my architecture, exaggerate my height, but tend to sink and erode and aspirate undrawn water when thrown in certain literary streams, because that's what you expect of the buildings you've helped erect of this half-sentient sandstone. Every door, every drop, every moor, every spinning top, every stop on the merry-go-round, every button on my shirt is a hiding from hurt. Now I'm tired, out of cash, my last glass is empty, so we head home together. Her portraits are finished, almost suitable for naming. Mine are not. Part 2, leave. If you want to. I don't need you. I've pretense usness to spare. Bella, double, toil and treble, bass and waste, a briefly pretty face and a haste to erase every place I've ever known. I grow wild and beautiful, lift light from under stones, roam where I want to, leave where I sit, shit, steamy, sleep, dreamy. Recall creaming Cassie, who I met through Melissa, who listened to Eno and Fripp and made me lose my grip like rail by the pound, and sounded like larks' tongues in Telecon, served with lamb on Broadway. Hand over my basket, ball for the bliss of exposure and a kiss under evening star. A new man, inexplicably loving Collins feel. I jumped pre-1984 into the fountain named after her. Found her later at the mall with my real gal. Left the latter and reconnected with Melissa in downtown Elyria and never gave a thought to see, leave, land where my mom worked at the psych hospital. I loved her efficiently across from the high school, till she heard about my black girlfriend and ended things and got with the guy who became Daniel's father, before I wondered whether I was his dad and she had second thoughts about us both, not Daniel. I found her later at the gay bar in Lorraine and loved her again, whirled and shared like our word children, my black faux brother, my bisexual red-haired lover on Gulf Road. And she gave me my second hit of LSD. And though I continued to leave, I began to see further into the mouth of what Cleveland might be. She was my introduction to poetry while she wrote, and my graduate course when she quit. She was my it and but and or, my Marillion, and uncountable millions and more as our gulf widened and finally broke. Wreck her. She was all that music, and I was her once. I cry because I can't be still. Part 3, Land. Under the Tremont firelight, with Flintstone aliens stun-gunning for Barney, El Diablo sells Blarney trying to get lit like the others. But he's a poor entrepreneur these days, getting gray and feeling in the way like they feel to him. But before waxing grim, he orders another Sam Adams draft from the cafe owner, taking pleasure in the thought that someone takes his orders, even if no one follows. I can't stop now. I'm on the verge of a major revelation, and I'm going to share it, no matter whether you approve, as soon as I know what it is. Meanwhile, we return to the Flintstone aliens, wide-eyed and warm beneath the faux fireplace affixed to the bar wall, while he awaits the inevitable, insatiable feat of poets on his face and hands and black abdomen that fades into the rug background, making it appear as though he is all eyes and gloved hands and feet and green helmet. I can't stop now. I'm on the verge of a major revelation, but it is 40 minutes after the poetry reading was set to begin, and I'm out of beer, and still not in, and lit or not, my home soul or system awaits. And that was inspired by a real rug. There was a real rug in the literary cafe with this alien from the Flintstones. I thought it was the alien from the Flintstones. Then after I wrote the poem, I realized it was actually from a Bugs Bunny cartoon. So I had my childhood cartoons mixed up. So maybe I should rewrite that to make it true. But it's still true even if it's fictional, you know? Fiction can be true in its way. Now, mercifully, a short poem. Art, a choke. I feel I need to write more, but sometimes I feel I talk too much, and the people who listen already know or misunderstand, and the people who don't care anyway. And sometimes it's easier to find and consume busier work and choke. Another short poem. This was composed of 3 haiku, but the third haiku, appropriately, when you hear what the last line is truncated. You know, it's only 3 words instead of 3 lines. Kill all. We're all gonna die. Sooner or later, you will have your fill of death. So while we're able, let's have a course of life and kill the war before it kills us. Unwet dream, and this is spelled UNWHET. You know, like wetting a whetstone that you sharpen a knife on. Unwet dream. Covered with smashed, wild-eyed pilgrims, masses of incomprehension. Yes, just want to get out of their way. Sole percent of the city under forced labor, fractured with unknowing. Brown cobweb languages, the only witnesses. The next poem is entitled Roulette. Roulette is a French word, well, that's the word roulette which comes from the French word for wheel. But a roue is also a French slang term for a freewheeling, kind of wild and crazy guy, or a philanderer or whatever you want to call him. And this is one of the few poems I got paid for. I actually, some company, casino, and, you know, so it makes me a hack, I guess. But a casino wrote to me and said, hey, if you'll mention a link to our casino on your blog, you know, we'll give you a few dollars. So for the heck of it, I wrote a poem and incorporated the title of the casino into the poem and made $100. So, and I kind of liked the poem, so it ended up being good in a couple of ways. Roulette. I'd sell my soul for a yes and no. I'd hold you to the sale without fail if you'd bail me in once more. My in, you're all most out. You time, whore, I, lover more, lick like chime. I'd slime you for a bite at your pear, and delight in your stare for a dark door ramble with my avant in your garden, and repeal the woe, boat, go, law, mow, shatter, glow, forage, jackpot. Spin my rainbow, wheel, make a deal, lie back, love, whip crack, squeal. I'd sell my hot for your trot, rim shot, plot, slot, naughty, XNO, party casino. My out, your in, win-win. This poem is entitled Location, and it's an older poem, but Diane wanted to include it in the book, so we put it in there, even though she had already published it as a broadside. Location is spelled in 3 words, L-O-W-K-A-Y-E-S-H-U-N. If you see Kay, tell her I love her, miss her, wish she were on the menu. If you see Kay, tell her I'm sorry she's not allowed in this venue. Not sure why. Doesn't make much sense. Might have something to do with religion or the government. Her friends whore and war are welcome anytime. But if you see Kay, tell her the powers that be have had their fill of her. Tell her no way, she can't come. Most everyone else can come till they're dumb. A few other folks are welcome as long as they wear the acceptable contextual clothes. Dick Van Dyke can come as often as he likes, but buy him, own him, call him my Dick, and he's not welcome. Billowy pussy willows can blossom and bloom as they will, but own one, mention that my pussy will, oh, you'll soon discover that fair or bear or not, in this place, you're persona non grata. My P's and Q's and I are free to come and go and lie as often as we will. But if you see Kay, tell her the powers that be have had their fill of her, and swill like her is barred from the menu in this venue by the men who'd rather go home and sin. Ooh. While warning a word like you to not intrude on their poetry, their peach, pity-free, dumb of speech in this low K-shun. I thought I had that memorized, and I looked away from the book for a minute and lost my place, but I think I got back there. And on that theme, I should have asked if dirty words were allowed before I started, but this one's entitled Fuck Poetry. Fuck poetry. You do it when you limit it. Sometimes when you imitate it. Sometimes you fuck it up. fuck it down and up and down, and sometimes you make it come. Other times you use poetry trying to get yourself off, and it's not impressed. If you must fuck something, you may as well make it poetry, but you sure as hell better listen to it a little. Listen a lot. Give it the attention it deserves. Lick it. Love it. Make it hot before you stab into it. And don't be surprised when poetry is an ass and expects a reach around. When it wants to screw you now, use you like you used it to get itself off on your shit. So fuck poetry. Love it right. Bring it to life. Give it yours and make it quake. Maybe, if you treat it right, tonight, poetry will let you come too. Disciples. Clarence looked a little like a rabbi and taught us to play truth or dare, and we had no doubt he knew best how to do it, since he had a beard and his own apartment, and we were just 12. Another short haiku entitled, You Shit. Sitting in bathroom, I recall your words. Trust me, something smells rotten. Ahem! A hymn. This is inspired by growing up in the Southern Baptist Church, and listening to songs like stand up for Jesus, and to God be the glory, great things he hath done. I think they're all in the same key, too. But it's entitled, Ahem. Stand up for Jesus, while his Father knees us in our nuts, plugs us in our butts, aims to please or displease us as the case may be, by leading us down paths of unrighteousness for his name's sake, never giving us a break, teaching us to take more than we live, die more than we give. It's the same stale story. We distribute his excrement in this world gone grim and attribute the government of this shit can to him. To God be the gory, grating things he hath done. Another short poem entitled Christianity. You poison your friends against me, then seek their advice regarding me. You warp their minds with reality. You mingle with neurotic fantasy, and then expect them to see through your cross eyes. Dry blind. Impacted conch, full of hardened sand, longs to be seized by a wave, gutted by a gush of warm salt water, able to see again. See again? Yeah, one of those. I love puns, man, and sometimes I think, I wonder if anybody gets that, but they probably all do, and they think, oh, geez, not another pun, god damn it. This is a three-part poem, or it's just three loose poems that I stuck together, whether they went together or not, entitled Three Nights Drafts. And yes, drafts can be taken two ways. Cool white cascades in impenetrable darkness. I quickly drink it. Number 2. Red dog at night. Drunkard's delight. Number 3. I'm going full speed forward with my 2 right wheels and full speed backward with my left, spinning downhill with plenty of drunk in my trunk. This poem was inspired by Steely Dan. They finally won a Grammy for their album Two Against Nature after reuniting, and it's a great album, and if you're familiar with that album, you may recognize some references to the songs. Two Against Nature. The dildo Dan vibrates and stimulates my inner ears with oral cum, stealing consensually into my toy-fixated mind. I believe I'm creeping out my grown stepdaughter, playing Cousin Dupree in the car on the way to the mall, midway between City Hall and some Just Us center. I only meant to turn on Jack of Speed, not really thinking about the song to come after. But don't worry, negative girl. Though you've grown like a rose, you're nowhere near almost gothic, and I'm not about to be played buyer, owing wills on a silver screen, anon a Blu-ray machine, or like anywhere in between these chord changes. Though I don't mind making you orally absorb an bleak more of this seedy, steely dance. Yeah, well, there was a song called Cousin Dupree, about this guy having the hots for his cousin or something, and Steely Dan ended up suing a movie company who made a movie starring Owen Wilson that was very much based on that song, although the producers swore it wasn't. From here to inequity. Incensed, I've been loving you. I'm about to lose my whirring mine of songs for every occasion, and write a few of my own in the name of reliving my need for relieving myself of a few unmentionable worries, and think of it all as a blameless religion or aimless submission to the latest Noose magazine published by pervert Moo Cock and his foxy lay, the senator, in her gruesome and seductive sibilation of sequined and uncivilized scattersense. Stimulus. And this is like an acrostic poem, the first letters of each line, if you read them down, spell stimulus. It's another one of those things I wasn't sure if it was even really a poem, but Diane liked it and wanted to include it or considered it a poem, so it's in here. Seeing things I don't see clearly. Minding the child within. Understanding only obliquely. Living under heavy manners. Starving. Numb and numbered. I see sequences of numbers in everything, though nothing adds up. I see letters and code, once been gained, what's owed, but what I thought I knew makes as much sense to me now as 2 plus 2 equals 5, or 6, or 6, 6, 6. An unseemly summation of my 40-odd years of cruel and or kind clue-blind calculations. An accurate accounting eludes me. Go figure. Number sequences and everything, letters and code, what's been gained, what's owed, all adds up to any number you like or dislike. Multiplies and divides exponentially, counting down days to a beastly human end. Ultimately, 6, 6, 6, and everything else adds up to nothing. And nothing adds up to infinity. I really had to resist putting "and beyond" at the end of that poem. I don't know why, man. Our grandkids love Buzz Lightyear. that movie was probably on when I wrote the to infinity at the end. 3-Night. And this is another poem that was written at the same time as the first poem, which was about, Star Dot 2008. And they were inspired by a blog and series of poems Kathy Smith had written about dots and wordplay on the word dot. And so I kind of riffed off of that and borrowed her idea. 3-Night. 1. Am I a dot or a sun? An orb fluttering on the surface of an elemental sea, reflecting a me I don't know, I recognize. Don't know, I see. I can't be sure. I am a sun, a dot, or not. 2. We are dots on this celestial dress that seems sometimes a universal mess, where peace is less and war is more, and words are whores who lie and belie us, lay and betray us, beget, fillet, forget, and gray us. 3. So we are dots on a celestial dress, lying crumpled at the foot of a bed, waiting for some god, awful crossdresser, to put us on, wear us out, rise again, spill his bloody Mary seed down our front, till he ruins us irreparably, considers us a bother, sows himself another, throws us in the trash. The beater of the absurd. And yeah, you can think of certain things beater might mean if you have a dirty mind. This has a ton of puns in it that probably go over my head sometimes. Onan was the guy in the Bible who was struck down for spilling his seed on the ground, and some Christians use that as proof that God frowns on masturbation. And then there was a guy named Antonin Artaud who had written the book The Theater of the Absurd. So all those puns are at play, for better and worse. Aunt Onan, Art Toe, Food Fetish, Heart Rose, To Ho, Training Wheel, Ceiling Fancy, Spin Sigh Cull, Jack Bean Imp Pull, Uncle. So it began with aunt, Onan, uncle. Yeah, okay. So there you go. For better or worse. One thing I did in this book was just play around. I'm not going to try to make it all, refine it, pare my fingernails out of existence, as T.S. Eliot said. Just kind of put it out there and be playful and enjoy it. And if people like it, cool. If they don't, I like it. So, or sometimes. Diarrhea of a mad mind. My whole is sore from your pokin' and ploddin', demon I sin, and God din, and mine too. Last, this is the beginning of the end, assets, always been. The carrots are bananas, and orange you glad bags and hand rags, or is everything guacamole? Blast! From Erie to detritus, from St. John to Rich Wood, from Marion to Lead Doe, from deep cleaved land, from Pitts, Perk, and Pumpkin, holler! Every city I've turned red in is a metaphor connected to the next, and the first, and the last, and none of it's enough. Amassed or maybe avast, as the end is near to the begetting, and you know the truth, won't longer receive my every told story, is either too clever or not enough for you. My scent is too strong or too dirty for you to take, too clean, my lost receipt, too smart or stupid, too diseased, Cupid, too often high maintenance and little maintained, so pained and glib and too true to fib any more than a life of lies that's never the right size for you. Anyway, every fucking even is not enough either, or else too odd, maybe more, unmoored, but impossible to ignominy and beyond, in jail or not, my every pun is meant. Am asked, and a vast spiral breathes that I want to use the word Dostoevsky. And I'm not sure how to eat the world absurdity without choking, while rag, gladding, ghoul, lagging, Solzhenitsyn, blast! So I keep rushing back to find us, pokin' and plodding, demon I sin, and God din, because the goal of my life is to one day finally finish this diary, a mad mind still unmade. One, eat your avocation, so I won't have to. And please, don't wish me success. Again, I like to play with the enjambment, the endings of words, so that you read each line individually, you get one meaning, you know. And then if you read them all together, you get a different meaning. Eat your avocation so I won't have to. And please don't wish me success, you know, instead of success. Yeah, you know. Just having fun. Will, or a way of hemming. I hear Hemingway said there is nothing to writing. All you do is sit down at a typewriter and bleed. But he was a lying son of a gun. Just ask his mom. The more he bled, the less he said. Until now, he doesn't say shit. Though he wrote a lot that was published posthumously. Sometimes you have to put the bloody typewriter away and breathe. Breathe in the air. Breathe out the error, and you will. But the problem comes when you come to see your whole life is an error to somebody's you loved once upon a time a whole lot more than you do now. And they fantasize about you breathing and bleeding out, no longer in. I hear Hemingway saying, fuck this shit, I'm sick of the bell tolling, of the sun also rising. And I know that no matter how hard I try, my Garden of Eden will always be fiction. And I'm tired of telling lies, especially if it means continuing to bleed into my typewriter. My biggest fear is that when I'm gone, you'll publish it anyway, without the bleh before the Eden. And it will be my worst, best bullshit. You will. If I must bleed, let it be in a foyer away from the machine butt, through my mouth, my brain, once more, then run under the front entrance, and you, and out, and you will still think you Hear me. Yeah, when I said he was a lying son of a gun, just ask his mom. I didn't realize until I was writing this poem that Hemingway's father had committed suicide also. So that was about. At Kenyon, a review. I want to be like W.S. Merwin. Not emulate his elderly delivery, but his kindness, compassion, refusal to rest on his laurels, and courage to conclude his keynote reading with all new work. Gata. When I sit on my bunk, I vow to all beings that I will see the beauty in my blanket and the cold. Under aware. To the height of Om, reaching into Om, nightly surrendering, tasting the blood of Om, raising the walls, ambling through, preaching nothing, towing the booty of Om, reeling into serenity. Mark this. Only 2 poems left. Mark this. Doesn't matter if you laminate me, punch a hole in the end of me, create a neck on me you can tie a pretty rope around. I don't care if you stick me in Shakespeare or Salinger or Dr. Seuss. Leave me in some tedious tome you intend to finish at some point but never do. Or pick your teeth with me. Drop me thoughtlessly on the floor for your puppy to chew. I'm the son and heir of tall trees who, though often abused and misused, have gladly given their hearts and bark for the sake of warm homes and art. I'm much more than a bookmark. And the final poem is entitled Lens. And it was written kind of spontaneously for an event that Cavanna put on at the St. Alban Episcopal Church a couple of years ago. And here it is, Lens. Violence! Silence. Violence. Silence! Less is more, and more is less, and silence is most golden to the rich and oppressive, and would be impressive if not for the give gone missing from nature's desired balance. Give and take, and give and take, and take, and take. The record keeps skipping. Time to pull out the needle. Violence! Silence. Violence. Silence! Stuck in the same groove. Sometimes I feel like an acquisition infected by a control bot running as my masters intend whenever anyone sticks coins into my slot, like I'm programmed to consume and consume, subsume, take a nap, and resume, consume, subsume. Size matters. Bigger is better. Stronger, faster. Forget impending disaster. I want to be the $60 million man when I grow down. Can't wake up. Need to drink more coffee. Can't go to sleep. Need to drink more wine. Always hungry. Need more mine all the time in between. Never satisfied. I dine and dine on more and more swine. Prove the proverb true. I am what I eat. Maybe you are too. Violence! Silence. Violence. Silence! Distinction blurs. Kill 'em all and let God sort 'em out. We human would-be gods can't wait to start sorting the money and land and command you dead leave behind. But first, we need your ass assistance. Be all you can be. Join. Consume. Follow. Consume. Collect. Consume. Kill. Consume. Die. Consumed. Submission accomplished. Violence. Silence. Violence. Silence. D. Coda. The first three verses were A, B, and C, so this is D. Coda. Decoder. Decoda. Whatever. Contract the compound. Distill its essence. Sigh. Violence. Vi. Silence. Contract it further. Vice. Vice. You can spell it either way with an S or a C. Violence. Silence. Vice. 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 Vice, baby. The record keeps skipping. The handle keeps turning. The head that I've been helping to squeeze is my own and my children's. Time to pull out the needle. Stop churning the handle. Look in a mirror for a moment. Put my vying and my sighing aside and focus my lens. So that was The Eater of the Absurd. It took a little longer than I thought to read it. I have a new chapbook out from the Poets Haven. It takes more than chance to make change, which Diana is holding up. And I didn't read from it today because I just read a lot from it at Monday at Mayhall's, and I'm reading from it next Saturday in Erie. But please, check it out if you're interested. Buy a copy. Support your local small press. If you can't afford it, you can have one. We appreciate you wanting to read. Thank you all very much. Since I still have like 10 minutes left, I'd like to call up my friend Mary O'Malley to read. She is the author of Howl for My Family in April, which Crisis Chronicles Press published, and a bunch of other great stuff. And I'd like to hear something from you, Mary. Oh, I already paid for it, so.
I have to learn to love the mic. I haven't done that yet. Okay, I brought my chapbook and I brought 3 poems before. This way. This way. How's that? Okay? Okay, these are old poems. They haven't seen the light of day in a while. The first one was from a poetry assignment by Bruce Weigel. We had to listen to overheard conversations and write a poem about it. It's entitled She, and what I heard a person say was, I heard she talked him into doing it. The echoes of female common sense bounce off earthen walls within caves of male-sponsored societal initiation. Over the years, since the first fall, Sweet Eve, the first bitch, maligned ever after through tales of male folklore, patriarchal oral traditions, changing and upending the score, female muted voices deemed so dangerous, fathers and husbands, uncles and brothers bound their mouths and chained their feet. The female paradox, painted with words, written with pictures in all cultures, the whore of Babylon, Dorothy's evil wicked witch, China's ill-omened bird, and the ancient French femme fatale, only when dead a saint, to be honored, martyred by men, arrogant and foolish. Innocent girls, spring blossoms, changed into harpies, for daring to think outside the box of male dreams. Excluded and debased by same-sex siblings, not as wise. Judgment rendered forever, tried and convicted by a jury of her peers. I have two Old Testament poems. The first one is Jochebed, which is Moses' mother. My husband Amram and young son Aaron, with my wise girl Miriam, brought in from the sand-grayed wind Seraph and Puah, the old Hebrew midwives. Brought them inside our tent, a space barren of signs from our true home, sheltering a terrified me, enclosed in hard, fast circles of birth pain. At night, in secret, they came to me, ready to die, almost naked, covered with days of sweat and dirty rags of wool. This night, no white stars and moon could be seen from our holy God's high-up heaven dome of blue. All of us, even without the storm and unending birth, too tired to look up and see any hope of God and Hebrew worth. Shiphrah held my hand. Puah ordered the family about, pushing them out, away from me to Rachel and Jacob's tent. They went quickly, eager to get away from my screams and curses. I cursed them all, and Pharaoh too, his overlord and men. The belt of pain came so fast and hard. I cursed God, blamed him for our captive fate, cursed this foreign land, cursed the ugly pyramids. Then both midwives began to sing to me old grandmother songs from our lost home, cradled and wrapped in their hands, put my head on Seraph's lap, washed my face with damp ends of their robes, dipped in a bowl of clear cold water, wiped off my tears with dust-covered, blood-stained outer cloaks. They sang of green pastures, the taste of milk and honey, the sharp cold and touch of River Jordan's water. They sang of going home, telling me my pain was for a special birth, a child that would bring us home. They sang of a Hebrew boy who would live in an Egyptian palace, grow up with other royal children. They sang the song as I pushed in gush of watery blood, my boy child out feet first and unwrapped his neck, the slimy rope that connected him to me, freeing him to a life beyond my hands and eyes. They wanted me to believe Miriam's plan would work. My daughter of the God sparked mine, my daughter of the Hebrew dreams, my daughter who will weave my new son's basket from the bulrush reeds and send him off far away from me. The wife of Ham. Time seems strange, and at night I toss in bed with my husband Ham muttering in his sleep. He mumbles words of danger for all of us. I used to enjoy the warmth of his body, his male smell, but I need to leave our bed to sleep. I make room with the children huddled on the dirt floor, my two joys, my source of bane and beauty, and I worry about all of us. His father isolates himself, goes off to the backlands, hammer in hand, pouch full of wooden pegs, stays there till midnight, and I go off to the village, well, to see my bittersweet friends, go off to foolishly slip and tell Ham's midnight words, break the family's rules of silence. Then I am forced to disorient their ears, dismiss the words, feign confusion, make them disregard words like storm, hail, wrath, and rain, the words I am not supposed to know. But I want to talk about it. This lightning bolt stress, I am so afraid I will let it pour out like a flood from my tongue and lose my chance to be saved and float away. And then I brought in an Irish poem. Let's see if I can find it. There we go, before the chapbook. This is about Grace O'Malley, the Irish pirate queen. And she lived in the 1600s. She was a contemporary of Queen Elizabeth I, and they actually met when she was arrested and caught. And they couldn't speak because Grace spoke Gaelic and Elizabeth spoke English, but they both spoke Latin, and that's how they talked. So this is Grania. I'm like the Irish sea god's daughter, wind-whipped and wet, cloaked in the smells of dead mackerel, while my husband stands dry and bitter on the hunches of my new ship. Invisible, a tethered falcon forced into wedded captivity. Chosen consort for me, good only for the echoes of his family name. I wear the red boar crest, my power over land and sea. White gulls fly in swirls, and black-eyed seals weep on rocks of stone-bound Achill, while we prepare to leave. Donald carries the burden of a man haunted by weird stories and whispered exploits changed to me in ledger books. He tracks pirate contraband, far away from Lear, Seaform, Horse, and Coracle. He still keeps archives of our failed love, old Latin love rhymes, and my childish lays of French romance, buried long past any hope of remembrance. All men but I sing farewell to the land and beats. In front of all, Sword in hand, I speak of enemies from an usurper land. I bind this virgin crew with verbal knots spun from Celtic threads and druid meals. Green-eyed and wanton, I use myself as bait, reel them into my net, and he with ledger books in hand retires home to land, fearing the coming night, when unable to sleep, unable to chance a dream of my return. And what I long to do in this rising spring dawn world is what I cannot do. Take leave of this land, my sulky skin, return home, dive far and deep in ocean currents and canals from hard longing birth waves, swim in waves of dark water and sea gardens past strands of kelp among others of my hybrid race who keep watch on the rocks of the western shore. And now for Howl for my Family in April, which is much, much more current. And it's I based it on Howell Allen Ginsberg's poem and T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland. So there's lots of epigrams or epigraphs, whatever that word is. Okay, the first one, it starts off with an epigram. Pray send not back my innocent to wound me. Be more courteous, I must confess, much like an ignorant plaintiff who goes rashly on, till on a sudden brought into the wilderness of law by words, dropped unadvisedly, hurt his good cause. Thomas Middleton from his play A Game of Chess. Part 1, Before My Mother's Burial. My family's chaos can only be contained in opera, a past brilliance where death all-consuming became a tapestry of violence hung on the walls of each house. Homer is dead, though hyacinths bloom. I need Wagner, or shall I say Mozart, near death with the threat of hunger. The hardest word is if. It sounds alien. Maybe it pushed its way through Eden, an ugly hiss already a crucifixion, or it may have been a fly, the one buzzing by white-veiled Emily's mind, incubated by maggots of family secrets which clung to the walls inside. Oh, Mother, what have we done to you? You died in a room filled with family-tossed winds. My father is absent, even in death, holding his golden gavels in his hand. We would hold our breaths, hoping not to be the objects of anger, though Mother whispered it was because a murderer was set free. My brother is absent, sitting at the right hand of his God. Did he come for you? Did he greet you? 2. The drowned Lake Erie men, the first in the family. After the opera, in the year of our Lord, 1888, his washed-up body made the front page. Called drunk by the Cleveland elite. His cab horse ran empty to his home, no money from the night. Ma heard the whispers of Clan Nagal. 2 sisters, the elder and the youngest, fought over time, leaped over the Cuyahoga River, never to laugh together again. The river brown, crooked, stops, prevents, alienates us. Cleveland still torn asunder. We Irish have scissors in our hearts, green thread in the sewing box, needles placed in black velvet pouches, no thimbles to protect the white skin from blood. The minstrel boys, sons of us all, walk through the Red Rover British lines, falling within ranks of dead hearts. The more unsquared, unbeveled, and he appears, reckons his parents among the rank of fools, strikes care upon their heads with his mad riots, makes them look old before they meet with age, and then time steals on, and steals, till violence leaps forth, like thunder wrapped in a ball of fire, and so doth bring confusion to them all. Thomas Kidd, from his play, A Spanish Tragedy. Another drowning. He came up disordered, bloated, fat finger pointing at me, calling me liar and liar. Rage swelled into your deathbed room, and the Greek chorus of the aged siblings were silenced despite gaped mouths. Mommy, I heard your voice recite your childish delights, once on a happier night, above us all, and the gravel of your voice shook me to the core. Sometimes they come when I'm asleep, sometimes when I'm awake, so softly and so silently they make me scream and shake. Sometimes they are as black as ink, and other times they're white. But color makes no difference when you're seeing things at night. Eugene Field. Seeing things at night. 3. The toll of her bell. Pull apart's memory. It is discordant. She was the keeper of our dead, caged them in her mind, reeling in their fetal fish and green-tongued famine. Sanchi of our clan, but we never knew its meaning. Too late, my darling Clementine. Down the red brick street, past the house with turret windows, or window walks in Lakewood or Cleveland Heights, there be ghosts, but real, not like Disney. 4. Mother Courage says, she, my grandmother, who knew as she stood in front of her class, goodness skips generations, and the boys of the back of the Tremont North Wind will always cause trouble. Mommy did not heed hidden fists, the rune ones so strong they told the genes yes. They did refuse your holy ones in. No, my mother cried, no. Bread was broken by the priest, no greater love was known. 40 hours of adoration and pain. Oh, brother, what have you done to me? This was my summer of hell, which has no meaning. You fucked up my mind. Crazy thoughts crumbled into my head. I failed in walls of harmonized schemes for my misdeeds, for nothing good comes out of Ackle. Because of you, I learned to know the coolness of hospital walls, to love the lack of mirrors and windows. I have grown a crooked soul. They have electrocuted all my bones. When she died, you were gone. We met in the hallway, and with your eyes averted past me. Thus in the eyes of God, you fell through below the bright side, while she awoke to a summer after the last day of school. I am told to forgive. It is spring, and the daffodils sing to me of grace. I am unsure how to care for my roses. Do I prune them with sharp blades, or let dead branches remain, untouched by my breath?
I noticed one of my Slam team members is standing. Did you want to come up and maybe do a piece before the next? Okay. Yeah, metal chairs. They're comfy, but yeah. All right, I need to turn the volume back down a little bit. Actually, I need to turn the volume back down a lot. Our next poet is Diane Borsneck.
Now, what are you trying to say?
Diane, you blew up one of my speakers.
I find that so hard to believe. I want to start out by saying a couple things. John Burroughs' last poem that he read, Lens, was a Pushcart Prize nomination. So I think that's one of the best poems I've ever heard. Also, I just found out I'll be the featured reader in this coming Friday's Shoreway Poets reading at the Gypsy Beans on Friday from 6:30 to 8, right here in Lakewood. So, and I got to start out by saying the poem that is full of my puns in honor of his punning. I'm not really good at it, but I tried it the one time. It's called Wet. Shall I tell you how I feel? I see you in my dreams, and waves of craving crash over me. I splash skinny dip in the sensations of your smile. I am tangled in the net of your eyes. I'm sure this passion will not ship out on the tide. You are the coral blush in my cheeks, or shall I say you swim in my blood? Am I naughty, Cole, for admitting you make me wet? I hear that tomorrow is the full moon. This one is called Cinco de Mayo, and the story behind it is we went up to Michigan. We rounded a corner. It was on Cinco de Mayo of last year, and there was this big pink moon. It was just hanging there on the horizon. Cinco de Mayo moon, pale pink piñata moon, hanging low. Marshmallow moon, hostess snowball moon, plump sofa cushion moon, lounging on the horizon. Spotlight moon, punching a hole in the night. Magician moon, making us look. Tango moon, dancing with the stars, tracing giant arcs with its toe. Siren moon, luring us to Luna Pier, inviting us to jump in. La seducción de la luna. I was writing some cinquains on vacation, and when we came back, we went to the Rock Hall of Fame, and I'm looking at all the different exhibits they had, and remembering and reminiscing and reveling, and I recognize this and I had one of those, and came from that. Going through the Rock Hall of Fame, realizing that I am a museum piece as well. This one's called Mother Tongue. My mother tongue is not English, does not consist of dialect nor regional accent, cannot be confined by borders, fences, gates, oceans, or mountain ranges, cannot be defined by fricatives or plosives, sibilants or gutturals, does not dwell in the maxilla or mandible, palate, enamel, lip, or lung, cannot be carried on air nor discerned by ear, cannot be interpreted by the speech pattern area of the human brain. You will not find my mother tongue in a dictionary, thesaurus, newspaper, nor encyclopedic codex. My mother tongue has never appeared in public wearing any form of covering. My mother tongue antecedes civilization, is older than spoken alphabets, does not recognize nouns or verbs, adverbs, adjectives, prepositions, interjections, or conjunctions. My mother tongue rejects politics, rejects religion, rejects delineation, and rejects punctuation. My mother tongue does not obey orders, does not genuflect, does not curtsy, has never sworn fealty to kings, queens, shahs, imams, emperors, prime ministers, presidents, popes, czars, rajas, or gurus. My mother tongue will not kiss your ring. My mother tongue has never been conquered or contained. You cannot destroy my mother tongue with atomic weapons or other weapons of mass destruction. You cannot slash it with machetes, nor shock it with tasers. You cannot shoot it with cannons, or missiles, or lasers, or guns. My mother tongue will spit out your bullets with a grin. Drugs have no effect on my mother tongue. They do not blunt or numb or paralyze it, do not elicit blurred murmurings from it. My mother tongue never loses control. My mother tongue can drink you under the table. My mother tongue does not get snowed in or plowed under, does not wither, does not turn brittle, does not go to seed. My mother tongue lives off the land. My mother tongue knows which way the wind blows. My mother tongue will tickle your fancy, Monet your name at the crest of orgasm, boldly, Van Gogh where no tongue has gone before. My mother tongue says, Andali, arriba. My mother tongue says, Picasso, su casa. My mother tongue is not hiding in the shadows. It promises, I'll be back. My mother tongue can handle the pressure. My mother tongue swiveled with Presley, flounced with Liberace, gyrated with Jackson, took wing with Nureyev, and danced dirty with Swayze. My mother tongue is the cat's meow. My mother tongue denies domestication and refuses extinction. My mother tongue salams epiphany, namastes the inevitable, daps possibility. My mother tongue kisses both cheeks of experience. My mother tongue vibrates on a perfect note in infinite sustain. My mother tongue crosses the street against traffic. My mother tongue cannot be restricted to one sex. My mother tongue has never cut its hair. My mother tongue is primordial, visceral, innate. My mother tongue shouts, give up the funk, get your groove on, express yourself. My mother tongue chants percussive groove, the compelling, restorative, retelling rhythms of poetry. My mother tongue joyfully ululates the very essence that is me. Your mother tongue is that language that you are meant to be. What comes next in this Cracker Jack's box of life? The real prize is not knowing. Thank you.
All right. We don't have anybody scheduled or lined up yet. So All right. Slam team member Christine Howie.
Well, I didn't really prepare anything. I thought everybody else was going to read. So I will try to get through this. I don't have it in written form, so I'll go from memory. This poem was written by me, a robot. Do not be afraid. Okay. Now you're hearing these words in that funny voice, the voice all humans use for robot voices, the droning nasal monotone. This poem was written by a robot. Please stop doing that. It's really kind of insulting. Robots don't sound like that anymore. In fact, robots can sound like anything or anyone, depending on the voice chip. My chip has only 4,000 voices. It's an old model. But I could be talking to you in a couple minutes using a completely different voice, then another, and another. Pretty soon, you won't have any idea who I am. Okay. Now you're noticing my sentences are short and clipped, like you expect robot language to be. But in reality, robots can embroider looping and complex sentences, such as the one we're in now, with many subordinate clauses, and never, as you say, miss a beat. This is because robots can now sneak in through small cranial openings, take a sample of human brain tissue no bigger than half a postage stamp, and use that neural material to make full-size 3D replications of the human brain, even a poet's brain. We use a copying machine. We Xerox your brains, and then we write poetry. So if you think poetry will always distinguish you from robots, you may need to reconfigure your thought process. We can help with that. Just sidle over here and give us access to your right ear. Relax. You won't feel a thing. Just kidding. You won't feel a thing. Many of us have certain addictions in life, and this is one addiction that I have that is hard for me to admit to, but it's true. I have an addiction to in-home salesmen. Something about them. Love song to the in-home salesman. He smiles coyly and opens his thick book in front of me. Ruddy fingers flip glossy plastic sleeve pages, pages that slide smoothly one on the other, a soft, sibilant whisper. He murmurs of options, the gazebo with maroon trim, term life with an annuity, a security system with two-way wireless communication. His words, like brilliantly colored birds, fly in close formation, wings thumping the air in unison, and sweep me away. I want the kitchen knife set guaranteed for life. I ache for replacement windows with invisible screens. Give me the emerald and ivory granite countertop. Just whatever you do, don't stop. Croon to me lushly in your bourbon-varnished growl about the reverse layaway on bamboo flooring, and point with your pinky ring finger at the patented fan that makes indoor grilling more than just a dream. And ask me, once again, what would make me truly happy with regards to a gray water recovery system, and if I float too close to the ceiling, wafted up on the thermal of your clothes. Draw me down gently, and fit your pen in my moist and trembling fingers.